Welcome back to my channel. The world's highest revving Pontiac engine from factory story penned by Daniel Cluffer. Pontiac's highest revving engine is the 6.2-liter LS3 V8 found in the 2008 G8 GXP, reaching a red line of 6,600 revolutions per minute. The LS3 V8 delivers peak power of 415 horsepower at 5,900 revolutions per minute, encouraging drivers to maximize every gear in the Pontiac G8. Older Pontiac models, such as the Catalina and Grand Prix Super Duty, featured high-revving V8 engines, with the 421C Super Duty reaching 6,400 revolutions per minute. Pontiac is first and foremost a muscle car manufacturer, and as such, many of their models favor V8 engines. These typically prioritize high capacities and impressive horsepower outputs, rather than high rev limits. However, pouring through Pontiac's back catalog of sports and muscle cars reveals a number of engines with rev limits north of 6,000 revolutions per minute. This epic Pontiac V8 hits the red line at 6,600 RPM. Pontiac enjoys an illustrious and expansive back catalog of awesome muscle cars, although in order to find the highest revving model, it's only the very final model we need to look at. The engine in question is the General Motors developed LS3, one of the most versatile small blocks ever developed, having shared hood space of C6 Corvettes, 5th generation Camaros, and the highlighted 2008 Pontiac G8 GXP. The LS3 is modified by many owners to sport higher and higher rev limits, but from the factory, Chevrolet suggests that 6,600 revolutions per minute is the maximum. The LS3 V8 delivers peak power, which is 415 horsepower, at 5,900 revolutions per minute, giving drivers the perfect excuse to maximize every gear when pushing the Pontiac G8. The most powerful Pontiac engine in the world. Few brands can boast such an illustrious back catalog of high-power engines as that of Pontiac. Here's how the LS3 V8 reaches such impressive rev limits. G8 GXP LS3 V8 technical specs. Peak power is delivered at 5,900 revolutions per minute. In the form of 415 horses. GM claimed the aluminum block is filled with a steady reciprocating assembly. Engine components understandably endure a lot of mechanical stress, especially engines which are designed to be driven hard, or to kick out high-performance figures. The LS3 from Pontiac's G8 GXP is one such engine, as demonstrated by an impressive output of 415 horsepower, and 415 pounds-to-foot of torque. A number of factors can increase or decrease how high an engine can safely rev, including the airflow throughout the engine's overall displacement, the bore and stroke of the piston, and the total mass of the internal assembly, including how well balanced it is. In GM's own words, the LS3 boasts a sturdy reciprocating assembly, in addition to lightweight aluminum components, which are designed for both performance and longevity. The combination of the sturdy and lightweight internal assembly, good airflow, and an impressive 6.2-liter capacity is how GM were able to develop the LS3 into a potent muscle car power plant, which can reliably rev up to 6,600 revolutions per minute in each gear. Catalina 421 Super Duty technical specs. The 421C Super Duty V8 will safely rev to 6,400 revolutions per minute. Only 179 Super Duty engines were developed. This high-performing V8 is now over 60 years old, for over 5 decades, with a 6,400 revolutions per minute red line. The race-developed 421C Super Duty engine would be Pontiac's highest revving engine. This engine most commonly finds itself at home under some of the rarest of 60s Pontiac hoods, namely those belonging to the Catalina and Grand Prix Super Duty. Only 179 Super Duty engines were reportedly developed, 162 found their way into Catalinas, and 16 into Grand Prix. One remains unaccounted for. Peak power would be a claimed 405 horsepower, although some independent studies would report even higher figures than this. These smaller Pontiac engines can also rev over 6,000 RPM from factory. 2.0-liter Ecotec inline-4 6,300 revolutions per minute. 2006 Pontiac Solstice GXP 2.8-liter L44 V6 6,250 revolutions per minute. 1986 Pontiac Fiero. These entry-level sports cars boasted impressive red lines. Pontiac is most famously a muscle car manufacturer, so naturally, many of their highest revving engines will be V8s. However, these two humble and all too often overlooked sports cars from the brand's past, the Solstice and Fiero, are keen to demonstrate their high revving abilities. The Solstice was a commercial failure, with a short production span and little admiration, especially in the face of European and Japanese competition. However, the 2.0-liter Ecotec inline-4 that lay within would boast an awfully impressive 6,300 revolutions per minute red line, a red line that would just pip its equally questionable Pontiac sports car ancestor, the Fiero. The Fiero did pack an extra 2 cylinders over the Solstice, but displacement was no indicator of performance in the 1980s, as was demonstrated by the 136 horsepower output. Unfortunately, the 6,250 revolutions per minute red line does little to counter the rather on-sports car-like horsepower. Regardless, our research places the Solstice and Fiero in the 3rd and 4th place spots for Pontiac's lineup of highest-revving models. The highest-revving V8 engine ever in a production car. While America might be synonymous with the V8 engine, it's the British that churned out this high-revving beast, with a red line north of 10,000 RPM. 5th generation Pontiac GTO engine highlights. The 2004 to 2006 GTO packed a huge 5.7-liter LS1 V8. The LS1 could rev all the way to 6,200 revolutions per minute. Peak power was delivered at 5,200 revolutions per minute, much like Pontiac's final swan song. The G8 from 2008, the marginally earlier 5th generation GTO, also made great use of GM's expansive catalog of performance engines by cramming a 5.7-liter LS1 V8 under its hood. The result was nothing short of thrilling, with the LS1 delivering a seriously potent 400 horsepower and 400 pounds-to-foot of torque to the rear wheels, making this final iteration of the iconic GTO one of the most powerful production Pontiacs ever made. Even though the LS1 reportedly enjoys a red line of 6,200 revolutions per minute, peak power was delivered somewhat shy of this, at 5,200 revolutions per minute. Peak torque came even sooner, at a more usable 4,000 revolutions per minute. Please subscribe, comment, like, share and follow for more content. Please support my channel. Please send it to Cash App $Director 327. Thank you for your gift. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching.